The other larger scale project that's over to our left is a new project that's a part of a cooperation that we're kind of just getting ramped up a little bit. Hopefully it's going to lead to more cooperation with USDA Agricultural Research Service, Forage Range Research Laboratory out of Logan, Utah. How was that?
You got it.
Dr. Kevin Jensen and his team. Craig ends up coming over here most of the time, making the long drive, hauling equipment. They do, as far as if you look at both improved introduced species and native species selection and development for rangeland and wildlife habitat improvements throughout the western U.S. These guys are kind of at the tip of the spear of what's going on, and they have been for a long time. So we're excited to have them as partners, and we're excited that they're willing to make the trip over here. Sometimes at really short notice to get in between rain and snow to do some of their work. And so I'm going to hand it over to Kevin and let him talk about what's going on, a little bit about their program.
Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you for the University of Wyoming for giving us an opportunity to come up and be here and work on the farm and in the area. As he mentioned, we're a research unit. And before I do that, I need to recognize Craig Rigby, raise your hand, Craig, and Jason Newhall. They keep me out of trouble, and appreciate all that they do. But we're a plant genetics unit there in Logan, and we do deal with dryland grasses, dryland legumes, forbs, and the last 20-25 years we've gotten into some irrigated pasture grasses and some semi-irrigated pasture grasses. And so what we typically do is we have about 30 active research sites throughout the western United States, where they'll be very similar to what you see here. And our whole idea is that we're trying to test our plant materials to see where they'll work and where they won't. And in the process of doing that, we learn an awfully lot about our plant materials and about a lot of different environments and where things will go and what they do. This particular study, we intended, it goes from here all the way down. How many plots, Craig? There's a lot of them.
820 plots.
820 plots. So, and they were planted with a no-till seeder, just a smaller version of the yellow one that was sitting up there. We typically, on a dryland setting, like to come in and do a fall seeding, and the weather last year just did not cooperate anywhere. We had a whole bunch of other ones we were trying to get in, and so we got up here and it was wet. We planted the first 4 replications frozen on ice at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it softened up and we had to stop. And then we came back and decided, well, let's look and see what will happen if we do a spring planting. And I don't know that I'm yet willing to say do a spring planting on dry land, but this one sure looked good. If you can get lucky and get those rains that come in. So what we have here, and the real thing is going to be next year and the year after. So this is just a seedling establishment year, and you can walk up and see. So this very end is legumes. We've also got some legumes mixed with grasses. If we took establishment data last night, and things that established really, really well on both the fall seeding and the dryland seeding are things like your meadow bromes, your intermediate wheatgrasses, and if this is indeed a true 17.5-inch zone area, that's really what you would expect to be here. Your cresteds and your Siberians, which are much drier of type environment, they're not going to do so well here. They're going to be here, but they're not going to give you the forage that you want. You're on the we've got some tall wheatgrass, or we've got some tall fescue and some orchard grass in here. They were able to establish, but we're on the low end of precipitation for them as far as being able to be really productive. And so one of the things that we look at through all of this is we'll come in and we'll bring our forage harvesters up, we'll get forage yield, we'll watch our stand persistence, and then we'll do forage quality on all of these plots. And so get a hold of Brian. There will be a lot of data that's coming off of these as far as plants that are adapted to this area. I wish I could say there was one plant that fit everybody, but there's not. Your environment will dictate an awfully lot to what you can plant and what it will do. But we're pretty excited. We've got a lot of plant materials that have come. We've got some commercial plant materials in here as well from various seed companies. It'll give you an opportunity to see how they go with, say, some of the public varieties that are out there, and whether it's a benefit to changing. Are there any questions?
You didn't say when did you plant this spring?
Right before your 2.5-inch rain.
Yeah,
Which was
it was middle of May.
middle of May.
Yeah.
Getting a little late, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem with the spring seeding in most rangeland sites are that by the time you can get on it with your drills, you've lost your moisture. And so this worked out great for us. I don't know that I'm ready to say go spring planting all the time.
Well, normally we'd recommend, you try to get in before the 1st of May if you can, earlier in the spring.
Yeah.
Before once the ground's thawed out, but not.
Most dry land, if you can get it in October, November, just before the ground freezes, you're a lot better off. So at the registration table, there's 2 bags of seed there. One of them's a meadow brome, a public variety cash, that's in here. And there's also a high crest 2, which is a crested wheatgrass. If you are interested, make sure you fill out a raffle card, and I think they're going to raffle them away. Also, there is a seed catalog that describes all the cultivars and varieties that we've released from our location there in Logan, most of which are publicly available. And I guess my plea to everyone, state, private, public, is please use us for a resource. Don't feel like you have to decide what plant materials you want by yourself. We're USDA, we can travel, and we're willing to help wherever we can as far as plant materials are concerned.
What's the difference between? Excuse me.
Go ahead, Blaine.
What's the difference between High Grass 2 and the original?
Okay.
What's the improvement?
So the improvement was the leafiness, and the stems aren't as thick as the original high crest was. Probably the biggest reason for a high crest 2 versus a high crest was high crest 2 was publicly released. It was not protected. Okay, so we all of a sudden were getting reports that high crest was not doing what it was supposed to do when we released it. And so we started looking around, and since it's not protected, anybody can bring seed in and say this is uncertified high crest. It could be Nordan, it could be Fairway, it could be anything. Okay? And so the high crest 2 was a little finer leaved. In all cases, it was equal to, and in probably 50% was better than high crest as far as seedling establishment. It was selected for germination stress. And we went ahead and released that, but we PVP'd it. So it can only be sold as a certified class of seed right now. So to those of you that are buying seed, if it's not certified seed, beware. It could be anything.
Kevin, can you talk a little bit about availability of some of the things that you guys have developed, something like cash? I think that's probably got a really good fit in this area from a meadow brome standpoint. I mean, are they available through seed dealers, or have
Yes.
they contact you guys directly?
No. If you're interested in growing seed, but if you want to become a commercial seed producer, you can contact us, or you can contact Utah Crop Improvement Association. And we produce our own stock seed there in Logan, and we have that for sale if you want to grow certified seed.
But as far as something that's just going to go into a hayfield.
But if you want to just go into a hayfield, I don't know of a seed company that can't get hold of it. Okay. Now a lot of times they'll try, and if they don't have it, they will try and sell you Regar. You can beat all the varieties out there will beat Regar. Okay, so don't do that. You probably want to get on early. 2 years ago, all of the cash seed was pre-sold before they hit it. So, but there's we've sent out close to 15,000 pounds of stock seed out. So there's seed on the market. Same with High Crest 2 and Vaviloft 2. Those are kind of driven by the fire seasons. If we have a big fire season, which it looks like we are, you're going to see price jump and you're going to see availability go down, simply because the public agencies are going to buy it. Whereas rather than $2.50 a pound, you're going to be looking at, well, 2 years ago it was $6 a pound for crested wheatgrass seed, which, to be honest with you, you can't make your investment out on rangeland at that price. You're better off to see if you can, wait until you can get it cheaper. But yeah, most of all of this stuff, at least I have to be politically correct here. Most of the stuff that's been selected and bred and are improved cultivars are on the market commercially. Okay, some of the pre-variety germplasms and stuff like that, that seed can still be really hard to get. But the varieties that have been bred and developed and tested are commercially available.